Hi, good morning. Welcome to Brunch with Brian, your fun real estate live stream. Today we're out here celebrating our Christmas lights. As you can see, this is our pretty Christmas presents, and we've got our big snowman up there. We've got another little snowman over there, and we just have those beautiful deer. And so we got all of our Christmas lights up already. I'm proud of us. A lot of times we don't make it this early. So it's actually National Christmas Lights Day. So perhaps this is the day to get your Christmas lights up. And today I'm going to talk about what scripts you need to succeed. That's our lesson for today. And I'm going to give you an important assignment. Okay, so and then your most important assignment actually today is going to be on our Teaching Tuesdays conference call, because we're going to go really in depth. Now I've got a couple of minutes here to talk about the scripts that I think are vital for your success as a real estate investor. But beyond that, we're going to get more in depth. And actually on this afternoon's call, I'm going to give you some new scripts. So I actually want you to have a pen, and you're going to write out some specific scripts that I'm going to give you that are really crucial right now for you to use. Now, basically but I did want to celebrate Christmas Lights Day. So for our affirmation, we're going to say, I'm going to shine and bring joy like Christmas lights. Okay, that's our affirmation. I'm going to shine and bring joy like Christmas lights. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to shine and bring joy like Christmas lights. Okay, let's say it again. I'm going to shine and bring joy like Christmas lights. All right, so today you're going to sparkle. You're going to be like a Christmas light and bring joy and shine. And now, so what scripts, what else is today? There's some, it's also a couple special days. It's National Pie Day, so eat a pie. And it's World AIDS Day, which, remember guys, AIDS was an unknown, very scary virus that they eventually figured out. And it's crazy because they never figured out a cure for it, but they've whipped up this cocktail that they can give people where they can pretty much have a pretty normal life without a lot of symptoms. So that's really incredible. And now we're on the verge of coming up with this COVID vaccination. I mean, they've already come up with it, and it looks like it's testing well. So things are going to get very good, and 2021 is going to be the best year ever. We're going to have a huge rebound in the economy, and we're going to be able to take advantage of that as real estate investors. And there's going to be a world of opportunity out there, especially because there's a lot of people who are going to be moving, but who have some kind of credit damage or something. There's going to be a lot of lease purchase buyers that you can help, and only you or somebody like you could put in a house. So that's incredible. It's National Rosa Parks Day. Here's the quiz for today. On this day, in what year did Rosa Parks not go to the back of the bus? And she said, I'm not going to go to the back of the bus, and started a civil rights movement. Rosa Parks was a really great symbol of that. And that was in what year? It's also National Trick Shot Day and other things. In 1913, the first assembly line ever by Ford. I thought that was interesting. And what year was the first Playboy ever? And who was the centerfold? Okay, that's a good quiz question. What was the first year that Playboy ever came out with their very first on this day? On this day, in what year did Playboy come out with its first edition? And who was the centerfold? You're going to know it. You know this. Okay, our birthdays today. First, we're going to get to talking about scripts and what scripts I think you need in 1 second. But I do like to say the birthdays because they're interesting today. Woody Allen is 85 years old and still going. Woody Allen. Richard Pryor would have been 80 today. Richard Pryor and Woody Allen born on the same day. Bette Midler is 75 today. Sarah Silverman, who's a funny comedian, is 50 today. So lots of birthdays today. Now, what scripts do I think you need in terms of successfully prosecuting the real estate investing business? There's 7 different types of deals that you're going to run into out there when you're in the real estate investing world. Some of them you need scripts. Some of them you are more script heavy. I will tell you that if you are doing nothing but going to the banks through an agent and buying junkers for cash, you don't really need scripts. Actually, you need scripts to find a good agent who will work with you successfully and maybe find you good leads. There's always scripts involved. Anytime you got to call people and you got to go to their houses and work stuff out in real estate. So there's always some kind of scripts to follow for that procedure. Now, what sellers are there that you need? There's three basic scripts that you need. So write this down. You need an opening call script. An opening call script, that would be Ron LeGrand likes his property info sheet, property information sheet with the boxes on it. We use our FSBO opening call. That it's just called FSBO opening call, and then we have an incoming opening call script also, where if they're calling you, almost exactly the same script. So don't worry. The only change is I see you're calling, or I can help you with that, or whatever. If it's an inbound call, slightly different verbiage at the very beginning. Otherwise, all exactly the same as the FSBO. I really believe that we've got that FSBO call script. It's a masterpiece now, and I really want you guys to be using that if you are calling or somebody local is calling for you. So that's obviously a vital starting off script for calling for sale by owners. We also have a script for talking to agents. If you find a listed property, or if you call a property you didn't know was listed and find out it's listed, there still might be something there even though it's listed. So we have a script to talk to the agent. Then we also have a script for landlord calls. So that's another opening call script where you're calling on houses for rent. Okay, it's a little different angle, and a lot of people don't call on those because they're trying to buy houses and they think, why would I call on houses for rent? I don't want to rent a house. Well, guess what? Maybe you can convert that person from just wanting to rent it to a rent to own. How hard is that? It's two more words. Instead of renting, just rent to own. All right, so those are your opening call scripts. Those are examples of opening call scripts. Now, your closing call scripts, you've got seller closing calls and you got buyer closing calls. On your seller closing calls, you got 5 kinds of sellers, and your pretty house seller is the main one. You may be doing the predominant amount of your closing calls with pretty house sellers. Now, here's where people get confused sometimes. Under that category of pretty house, now there's 4 other sellers. Write these down. But I'm going to come back to pretty house seller, so leave some space under there. So pretty house seller, and then there's ugly house seller. Now, you may have a different exit strategy. You don't know what your exit strategy is going to be on that. You may end up selling it to a wholesale buyer, someone who's like a rehabber, actually, who you're selling a wholesale to. Or it might be a person who is a work for equity, if you can get terms on it. So ugly house seller call, closing call, doesn't just approach them like it's a cash deal only. It's a cash or maybe a financing deal. Okay, another seller that you're going to run into is a short sale seller. This is somebody who's behind, or pre-foreclosure, we call them. A pre-foreclosure seller is somebody who hasn't had the house foreclosed on yet. The bank doesn't own it yet, but they're late. Okay, probably 2-3 months and getting worse. And that may be somebody that you work with, and you may not do a short sale. You may actually catch up that mortgage and just take it over subject to. So there's different strategies with a pre-foreclosure seller, but they're very different than a pretty house seller or an ugly house seller, because by virtue of the fact that they're late on the mortgage. Okay, so those are very key calls that you need. Now there's an option seller. That's the next one. So we got pretty house seller, ugly house seller, and then we got option seller, and we got axe seller. Now an axe, I don't want to go too deep into this axe seller, but it's when houses are over leveraged, and we may be running, the market may be heading that way, where we have more properties that were bought in the last couple of years here, and they're looking to sell because of life situations. COVID triggered a lot of transitions. So if they're in that position, they bought recently and now the market takes a little dip, they may owe as much or more as what the house is worth, and that's axe deals. So axe deals, again, they might be coming back. So again, you got your pretty house seller, ugly house seller, pre-foreclosure seller, option seller, and axe seller. Those are your 5 sellers. So you need a closing call. Each one of those situations is very different. An option seller won't give you terms, but they might give you a good enough deal on the house where you could sell it for more for cash. And so that might be another deal that you do. So in terms of pretty houses, now let's go back to pretty houses. There's 3 closing calls that are your primary closing calls there. And one of them is seller financing. One of them is subject to, and the other one is sandwich lease purchase. So those are the big 3. And those are usually the ones that you're going to be using in the pretty house world. There are other ones. There's a subordination closing call. If you guys have our what to say system, there are extended, what I call advanced methods. And that's when you're doing subordinations, contract for deed, you're doing where they refinance and you take it over subject to. So those are like advanced strategies that you'll use in the pretty house world for your closing calls. So the main scripts you need to get going in this business is some kind of opening calls, closing call scripts. Again, these are all in your what to say system. Everything I'm talking about is in the what to say system. So all those 5 sellers, there's separate tabbed out sections on each one of those sellers. Now you got to do the same on the buyers. Remember, there's 5 buyers too, so you're going to have closing calls on them. Lease purchase buyer, that's our primary one. Work for equity buyer, that's when you have an ugly house but you got terms, so it's going to be a rent to own deal. Okay, and then you've got your cash out buyer. Sometimes someone just pays you cash. And you have your axe buyer, and we call them your wholesale buyer. This is on a wholesale deal. Usually this is a person who's a rehabber who's looking to buy the house and fix it up. So you need all 5. You need the 5 closing calls on the seller end, 5 on the buyer end. And if you got those, and guys, here's the thing, I just recently revised all those, and I don't want to brag, but sometimes it's not brag, it's just fact. And these are really brilliant and powerful money-making scripts for you. We're going to go more in depth on Teaching Tuesdays today. So I want you back on Teaching Tuesdays, and I want you to have these, basically these 10 scripts, these 10 closing call scripts, 5 for the sellers, 5 for the buyers. Again, those buyers: lease purchase buyer, work for equity buyer, cash out buyer, wholesale buyer, and axe buyer. So those are your 5 sellers and 5 buyers, and sometimes they merge in different ways, and that's why there's 7 different deals. And so I want to get into that more with you guys this afternoon, and I love doing that. But remember, it's Christmas light day, so you could get your Christmas lights up today. Actually, I was putting up Christmas lights on a 12-foot ladder. I was putting up Christmas lights, and I actually, this was not this year, but a couple of years ago, I was on a 12-foot ladder, and I was putting up Christmas lights, and I fell. I was on the first rung, so it wasn't a big deal, but actually you could probably hurt yourself pretty bad just on the first rung. Okay, you know, I like to get a joke in here once in a while. You know, this neighborhood's really great. I love this neighborhood, but in our old neighborhood, man, those neighbors reminded me of Christmas lights. Half of them didn't work and half of them weren't too bright. Okay, that's a fun one, you can say. That's a good one. Guys, I like to tell you jokes now. Don't just hear my jokes and chuckle. Hopefully you can tell other people and spread the mirth, spread the laughter, because anytime you're smiling, I used to talk about smiling way more. We're smiling, right guys? Because we told the jokes. Okay, let's do our deep breathing. Boy, I've been so focused on affirmations and teaching you guys so much stuff. I've forgotten about the deep breathing sometimes, but that's so important every day. This is a really important daily ritual. Cool. Okay, smiling and deep breathing. Let's go on a deep breath. Ready? Hold it a sec and exhale. Loosen up your shoulders, your neck. Okay, another deep breath in. Hold it a sec and let it out. Okay, and one more. Deep breath in. And let it go. All right, now we're in a great mood. Our bodies feel good and we feel excited about life. And I will see you in about 7 hours and 15 minutes on Teaching Tuesdays, where we're going to go really in depth on the most important scripts. And we're going to get into actually what you're saying. So not just an overall view like I did this morning, but actually the nitty gritty of what you are going to be saying on the phone. So don't miss that. We'll see you then. And until then, guys, keep expecting success and taking action.